The royal masquerade was the grandest celebration the kingdom had seen in a decade. Lanterns hung from every arch, and musicians played beneath a canopy of stars. Every noble family attended, masked and glittering, their identities hidden behind silk and velvet. Ella was not supposed to be there. Her stepmother had ordered her to stay home and finish mending the family's gowns. But the invitation had fallen from her stepsister Arabella's hand, and Ella had caught a glimpse of it, and of the dream it represented. For one night she wanted to be someone else, someone who was not a servant, someone who was not invisible. She wore her mother's old dress, a silver gown carefully preserved, the only beautiful thing she owned. She walked the 3 miles to the palace on foot, and when she slipped through the garden gate she felt like a different person. The ballroom was a sea of color and light. Ella stood at the edge, overwhelmed, wondering if she had made a mistake. Then she saw him. He wore a silver mask and a crown of dark curls. He moved through the crowd with a natural grace, and everyone seemed to turn toward him like flowers toward the sun. He was the prince, she knew it without being told. He glanced across the room and his eyes found hers. He crossed the floor without hesitation, the crowd parting around him. When he reached her, he bowed. "You look lost," he said, smiling. "I am lost," she admitted. "Then allow me to be your guide." He offered his hand and she took it. They danced. The music swelled and the world fell away. He was funny and kind and utterly unlike the stiff, formal nobles she had read about. He asked her name. She would not tell him. He told her his, Kit, and she laughed, because it did not sound like a prince's name. "Are you mocking my name?" he asked, pretending to be offended. "I would not dare, your highness. No highness tonight. Tonight I am just Kit. And I am just a girl in a silver dress. Then we are both pretending." He spun her, and when she came back to him, his voice was soft. "Tell me your name. If I do, the spell breaks. Then keep the spell. I like it." The clock struck midnight. Ella's heart seized. She had promised herself she would be home before dawn, before anyone noticed she was gone. "I have to leave," she said. "Wait, will I see you again?" She pulled away, slipping through the crowd. "Find me. At least tell me your name." But she was already gone, leaving behind only the echo of her footsteps and the faint gleam of a glass slipper that had caught on the hem of her dress and slipped off her foot. Prince Kit picked up the slipper. It was small and delicate, like something from a fairy tale. He smiled. He would find her. He had to. But as Ella fled through the palace garden, a shadow separated itself from the hedges and stepped into her path. Ella. It was Arabella, her stepsister, her mask held loosely in her hand. She had watched the entire dance. "You," Arabella said, her voice like honey and poison, "were dancing with the prince." I did not know he was the prince." "Liar." Arabella stepped closer. "You know exactly who he is. And you think you can have him? You, the servant girl? It was one dance. Nothing more. Nothing more." Arabella smiled, slow and dangerous. "I saw how he looked at you. He will search for you. And when he finds you, he will find a scullery maid. How disappointing for him." Ella's heart sank. She had known it was foolish, a dream that could never last. "I do not expect anything. It was one night." "Good. Because I am going to make sure it stays one night." Arabella reached out and plucked the glass slipper from Ella's hand. "Leave this with me. Consider it a gift. That is all I have left of my mother. And it is exactly what I need." Arabella smiled. "You have been nothing but a burden to this family. It is time you started repaying it." Ella watched her stepsister walk away, the slipper clutched in her hand, and felt her fragile dream shatter like glass. She had been a princess for one night, and now she was nothing again. The walk home was long and cold. Ella's feet were bare. She had left her slippers at the ball, one lost, one taken. The gravel cut into her soles, but she did not feel it. She was numb, empty, hollowed out. She climbed in through the kitchen window, careful not to wake the household, and crept to her tiny room beneath the stairs. She lay down on her thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, and replayed the night over and over. The music, the dance, the way he had looked at her, the way he had looked at her. She touched her chest, where her heart still beat, and let herself cry, silent, hopeless tears that soaked her pillow. She had known it could not last. She had known she was a servant girl, a scullery maid, an invisible nobody. The prince belonged to a world she could never enter. But for one night she had believed. And that belief had been the most beautiful thing she had ever felt. In the morning she would wake up, scrub the floors, and pretend the masquerade had never happened. But deep in her heart, she would carry the memory forever. The memory of the night she had been a princess. The memory of the prince with the silver mask. The memory of a love that had never had a chance. The next morning, the kingdom was abuzz with news. The prince was searching for the mysterious woman from the masquerade. Heralds rode through every town and village, carrying a description of the silver gown and, more importantly, the glass slipper. Any woman whose foot fits this slipper, they announced, shall be presented to the prince. At the Tremaine estate, Arabella's eyes gleamed. "It is time," she said, holding up the slipper she had stolen from Ella. Her mother nodded approvingly. "You will be a queen. It is what I deserve." Ella watched from the kitchen doorway, her heart crumbling. She knew the truth, that it was her slipper, her dance, her prince. But what could she do? No one would believe a scullery maid over the future queen. Arabella presented herself at the palace. The slipper fit, because it was made to fit the Tremaine foot, Ella having worn it for years. The prince, desperate to believe, looked at Arabella's face and searched for the girl from the ball. Something was wrong. The eyes were not the same. The laugh was not the same. "You danced with me," he said carefully. "You would not tell me your name. I was shy, your highness. And the spell, you said if you told me, the spell would break." Arabella tilted her head, confused. She had not been there. She did not know what he meant. But Prince Kit, young and hopeful and desperately wanting to believe, chose to see what he wanted to see. "Marry me," he said. Arabella smiled. "Yes." The engagement was announced within a week. At the Tremaine estate, the household prepared for the wedding of the century. Ella was assigned the most menial tasks, scrubbing the floors, polishing the silver, washing the linens. Her stepsister made sure she never had a moment of rest. "Enjoy it while you can, stepsister," Arabella said, watching Ella scrub the marble entrance hall. "Soon I will be queen, and you will be nothing." "You will be queen," Ella said quietly. "And I will still be nothing. Nothing will change." "Exactly." The doorbell rang. A servant appeared, announcing the arrival of the royal guard. "His Majesty has sent a personal guard to protect the future queen until the wedding," the servant said. A man stepped forward, tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp eyes and a quiet manner. He wore the uniform of the royal guard, his helm tucked under his arm. Ella looked at him. Their eyes met. Her heart stopped. It was him. The man from the masquerade. The prince who had danced with her, who had made her feel like she was worth something. He was standing in her house, dressed as a guard. She knew it was him. She would have known his eyes anywhere. But he showed no sign of recognition. He looked at her, a maid on her knees, scrubbing the floor, and his gaze passed over her without stopping. "Welcome to our home, guard," Arabella said, stepping forward with her most winning smile. "I am Arabella Tremaine, the future queen." "Thank you, my lady." His voice was low, careful. "I am here to ensure your safety." "My hero." Arabella batted her eyelashes. Ella watched the exchange, her heart shattering all over again. He was the prince. He was engaged to her stepsister. And he had no idea who she was. Or he did, and he did not care. She lowered her head and resumed scrubbing the floor, hiding the tears that slipped down her cheeks. That night Ella could not sleep. She crept to the kitchen for a drink of water, and found the new guard standing by the window, looking out at the moonlit garden. "You should not be up so late," he said, not turning around. "I could say the same to you. I am a guard. It is my job to watch while others sleep." "And what are you watching for?" "Nothing." He finally turned and his eyes met hers. "And everything." Ella's breath caught. For a moment, just a moment, she thought she saw something in his gaze. Recognition. Longing. Pain. But then the mask slipped back into place, cold and indifferent. "Return to your room, maid. You should not wander the halls at night." "As you wish, guard." She turned and walked away, and behind her, Prince Kit closed his eyes and pressed his fist against his chest, where his heart was breaking. He had found her. The woman from the masquerade, the woman he had been searching for, the woman who had stolen his heart. She was the stepsister of his betrothed. A servant in her own home. And he could not tell her who he was. If he did, the engagement would collapse, the alliance would shatter, and the kingdom would be plunged into crisis. His father would be furious. His duty would be compromised. So he stayed silent. And in staying silent, he broke her heart a little more each day. He did not know that his silence was a wound that would never fully heal. He did not know that his choice would cost him everything. He only knew that he loved her. And he could not have her. The following weeks were a slow, quiet torture for Kit. He watched Ella from a distance, unseen, unnoticed. He saw how she worked from dawn until midnight, her hands red and chapped, her back bent under the weight of endless tasks. He saw how her stepmother and stepsisters treated her, like furniture, like an inconvenience, like less than nothing. He saw how she smiled anyway. Small, fragile smiles that she offered to the birds in the garden, to the cat that curled at her feet, to the flowers she watered with such careful tenderness. She found beauty in a world that had given her none. And every night he left something for her. A rose. A loaf of bread. A bundle of kindling. Small things that she would never connect to the guard who stood silent watch. He told himself it was enough. That he was helping her. That his silence was protecting her. But he knew the truth. He was a coward. And every day that he hid, the lie grew deeper, and the distance between them grew wider. One afternoon, Ella caught him watching her. She was hanging laundry in the yard, her sleeves rolled up, her hair escaping from its pins. She looked up, met his eyes, and for a moment neither of them moved. Then she smiled. It was not her full smile, the one he had seen at the masquerade, the one that had stolen his heart. It was a smaller, guarded thing. But it was real. "Hello, guard," she said. "Hello, maid. You have been watching me. I have been watching the household. You are part of the household. Am I?" She laughed, soft and sad. "I am not sure I count as part of anything." "You count." The words came out before he could stop them. "You count more than you know." Weeks passed, and the guard became a permanent fixture at the Tremaine estate. Ella saw him everywhere. In the gardens, where he patrolled at dusk. In the hallways, where he stood watch outside Arabella's chambers. At the gates, where he checked every visitor who came and went. She told herself she was imagining things. The man from the masquerade had been a prince. Princes did not become guards. It was a trick of the light, a figment of her desperate, foolish heart. But every time she saw him, her heart lurched. And every time, he looked away. She began to believe she had imagined everything. The dance, the music, the way he had looked at her like she was the only person in the world. It had all been a dream. But then something strange happened. She found a rose on her windowsill. Not a grand, expensive rose from the palace gardens. A small, wild rose, the kind that grew on the trellis by the kitchen door. It was the first time anyone had ever given her anything. She kept it, pressing it between the pages of her mother's old book. A few days later, she found a warm loaf of bread waiting by her bed at dawn, wrapped in a clean cloth. Then a bundle of kindling, stacked neatly by the stove on a night when she had been too exhausted to gather her own. She began to suspect. And one morning she caught him. She had risen before dawn, unable to sleep, and crept to the garden. He was standing by her window, placing a fresh rose on the sill. "It is you," she breathed. He turned, caught. "Ella! Why are you doing this?" Her voice shook. "You told me you did not know me. You looked at me like a stranger. And then you leave roses on my windowsill?" He was silent for a long moment. "Because I cannot help it," he said finally. "Because I have been watching you since the day I arrived, and I cannot stand to see you suffer." "Then why do you pretend not to know me?" "Because the truth would destroy more than you can imagine." "Tell me the truth anyway." He opened his mouth to speak, and the kitchen door banged open, and Arabella's shrill voice rang out. "Ella! Where is my breakfast?" He stepped back, the mask snapping into place. "Go. She cannot see you here." Ella fled. But that night she could not sleep. She thought about his eyes, the pain in them, the longing she had glimpsed before he hid it. She had thought he was cold. But cold men did not leave roses on windowsills. Cold men did not stack kindling for a servant girl. She did not know who he was. She did not know why he was hiding. But she knew one thing. He was not indifferent. And that small, fragile hope was the only thing keeping her heart alive. Meanwhile, Arabella had noticed the guard's attention. "Tell me, guard," she said one afternoon, intercepting him in the hallway. "Why do you watch my stepsister so closely?" "I am tasked with observing the entire household, my lady." "Observe me instead." She stepped closer, her hand brushing his arm. "I am to be your queen, after all." Kit stepped back, his jaw tight. "My duties do not include impropriety, my lady." Arabella's smile sharpened. "No. But they include obedience. Remember that." She swept away, leaving Kit seething. He was trapped. Bound by duty, by honor, by a lie he had allowed to take root. And every day, the woman he loved suffered under the same roof, within reach, yet impossibly far. The guard stayed silent. The prince stayed hidden. And the woman he loved slipped further away. Their small exchanges became a secret rhythm. A nod across the garden. A brief word in the hallway. A smile, quick, private, meant only for each other. Ella did not ask who he was. She had learned that he would not tell her. But she began to look forward to his quiet presence, to the small kindnesses he left for her, to the way his eyes followed her with a warmth that made her feel, for the first time in years, that she was not invisible. "Where are you from, guard?" she asked one evening, when she found him by the well. "Far from here." "And why did you come to this house?" "Because I was sent." "By whom?" He hesitated. "By the crown." "Ah." Ella nodded slowly. "So you are here to protect Arabella." "I am here to observe." "To observe what?" "Everything." He looked at her. "You." Ella's breath caught. "Why me? I am nothing." "You are not nothing. You are the most real thing in this house." She did not know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like that. She stood there, the water bucket in her hands, her heart racing. "You should not say such things," she finally managed. "Why not?" "Because they are not true. And because," she swallowed, "because I might begin to believe them." "Then believe them." He turned and walked away, leaving her standing by the well, her heart full of a hope she had no right to hold. That night Ella could not sleep. She lay in her narrow bed, thinking about the guard. His words, his eyes, the way he made her feel like she mattered. It was foolish. She knew it was foolish. She was a scullery maid, and he was a royal guard. There was no future in it. But for the first time since the masquerade, she felt alive. And she clung to that feeling like a drowning woman clinging to a branch. She did not know that the guard was the prince. She did not know that he loved her. And she did not know that her stepsister was already planning the betrayal that would tear them apart forever. Autumn came, and with it the announcement that changed everything. "His Majesty the King has decreed," the herald proclaimed in the town square, that the wedding of Prince Kit and Lady Arabella Tremaine shall take place in 1 month's time. All citizens are invited to witness the ceremony. Ella heard the news while shopping for the household. She stood frozen in the crowd, the words washing over her like cold water. He was marrying Arabella, the man from the masquerade, the man she had loved hopelessly and completely, was marrying her stepsister. She had known it was coming. She had told herself she was prepared. But hearing the words aloud was different. It was real. It was final. That night, she sat alone in her tiny room, holding her mother's book, the dried rose pressed between its pages. "I am sorry, Mother," she whispered. "I thought I had found something. I thought I mattered to someone. But I was wrong." She was not crying. She had run out of tears. The wedding preparations consumed the estate. Ella worked from dawn until past midnight, sewing, polishing, arranging. Arabella demanded perfection, and Ella paid for every imperfection with extra chores. "Faster, stepsister," Arabella said, watching Ella arrange flowers in the great hall. "The prince arrives tonight to attend the engagement dinner. I want everything perfect." "The prince is coming here?" "He insisted on meeting my family." "Such a thoughtful man." Arabella smiled, cold and triumphant. "You should stay in the kitchens during dinner. Your presence would embarrass me." "As you wish." That evening, Prince Kit arrived at the Tremaine estate in full royal regalia, not as a guard, but as himself. Ella watched from behind the kitchen door as he descended from his carriage, handsome and regal and utterly out of reach. He was greeted by Arabella, who clung to his arm like a precious possession. "Welcome to my home, Your Highness." "The pleasure is mine, Lady Arabella." He did not look toward the kitchen. He did not know she was watching. Ella ducked back into the shadows, her heart aching. She would have to watch them together, the man she loved and the sister who had taken everything from her. It would be the longest night of her life. During dinner, Ella was summoned to the great hall to clear the dishes. She entered with her head bowed, collecting plates as quickly as she could. She was almost out the door when she heard Arabella's voice. "Ella, wait. Come here." Ella froze. "Yes, my lady?" Arabella smiled at the prince. "This is my stepsister. She is rather clumsy, but she tries her best." She gestured to a spilled drop of wine on the tablecloth. "Clean this up." Ella reached for a cloth, but Arabella's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. "On your knees," she said sweetly. "It will be faster." The entire table fell silent. Ella looked at the prince. He was staring at her wrist in Arabella's grip, at her face, pale and trembling. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain. Recognition. A desperate, suppressed longing. But he said nothing. "Your Highness," Ella said, her voice barely a whisper. "Please excuse me." She pulled free and fled the room. Behind her, Prince Kit's hands were clenched beneath the table, his knuckles white. He had watched them humiliate her. He had done nothing, and he would never forgive himself for it. That night, Ella sat by the fountain in the garden, the one place she could be alone. She heard footsteps. She did not look up. Ella. The guard. She had forgotten he existed. In all the chaos, she had forgotten. "What do you want?" "I wanted to make sure you were all right." "I am fine. I am always fine. I am a servant. Servants are always fine." He sat beside her, and she finally looked at him. "Who are you?" she asked. "Really?" He opened his mouth and closed it. "I cannot tell you," he said finally. "Then there is nothing to say." She stood to leave, but his hand caught hers. "Ella, please. There are things I want to tell you. Things you deserve to know. But the cost of speaking them is greater than the cost of my suffering." She pulled her hand free. "I understand. I have been invisible my whole life. I am used to it." She walked away, leaving him alone by the fountain. Prince Kit watched her go, his heart shattering into pieces. He had a choice. He could tell her the truth and risk everything. Or he could stay silent and lose her forever. He chose silence. and it was the greatest mistake of his life. The next morning, Kit received a summons to the palace. His father, the king, wanted to see him. When Kit arrived, he found Arabella already there, her hand on the king's arm, her smile radiant. "My son," the king said, "we have decided to move the wedding forward. There is no reason to delay." "Father, no arguments. The alliance is sealed. The invitations are being printed as we speak." The king clapped him on the shoulder. "You have made a wise choice, son. Arabella will make a fine queen." Kit looked at Arabella. She smiled at him, a cold, knowing smile that said everything she would never say aloud. She had made her move, and he had no way to escape. Back at the Tremaine estate, Ella noticed the change in the guard. He was quieter, darker. He barely looked at her anymore, and when he did, there was a pain in his eyes that she could not understand. "What is wrong?" she asked one afternoon, finding him alone in the stables. "Nothing. You look like you have lost something." "I have." "What?" He looked at her for a long moment. "The only thing that ever mattered." Ella did not know what to say. She reached out, meaning to comfort him, and her hand brushed his arm. He caught her hand. "Ella." His voice was rough, broken. "There is something I have to tell you." "What?" He opened his mouth, and the stable door banged open. Arabella stood in the doorway, her face a mask of fury. "There you are." Her eyes flickered to their joined hands. "Sneaking around with the guard, stepsister? How pathetic." Ella pulled her hand free. "I was just. I do not care what you were doing." Arabella's voice was sharp. "Get back to the kitchen. And stay away from my guard." "Your guard? He protects me. He is mine." Arabella looked at Kit with a possessive smile. "Is that not right, guard?" Kit said nothing. "Answer me." "Yes, my lady." Ella's heart crumbled. She turned and fled, tears burning her eyes. News spread through the kingdom like wildfire. The beast prince of the neighboring realm was seeking a bride. He was a cursed prince, bound in the form of a monstrous beast until true love broke the spell. His kingdom was wealthy, his curse ancient, and his desperation complete. Every eligible woman in the land was invited to the palace to meet him. None returned married. Some returned in tears. The rest were never seen again. At the Tremaine estate, Arabella laughed at the invitation. "Why would I marry a beast when I am to marry a prince?" But her mother saw opportunity. "The beast prince is desperate. His kingdom has untold wealth. Perhaps there is a bride among us who is more suitable." Her eyes settled on Ella. "The scullery maid has noble blood," she said. "Her mother was a lady. She can be the one we send." Ella was summoned before her stepmother. "There is a carriage waiting. You will go to the Beast Prince's castle. You will marry him." "Marry a beast?" "Marry his wealth, you simpleton. If you succeed, I will be generous. If you fail, you will never set foot in this house again." Ella had nothing left to lose. Her dreams were dead. Her heart was cold. Her life was a cycle of servitude and pain that would never end. She packed a small bag and climbed into the carriage. The last thing she saw was the guard, standing at the gate watching her leave. For one moment their eyes met, and then the carriage pulled away. The Beast Prince's castle was a place of shadows and echoes. He met her in the great hall, a creature of fur and fangs, with sorrowful golden eyes that held a surprising gentleness. "You are not afraid of me," he observed. "Should I be? Most are. I have been hurt by humans more than any beast could hurt me." The beast was silent for a long moment. "Then perhaps we have something in common." They did not marry that night. They talked. He told her of his curse, a witch's punishment for a youth spent in arrogance and cruelty. She told him of her life, the mother she had lost, the family that had used her, the prince who had broken her heart. He listened. No one had ever listened to her like this. Over the following weeks, Ella and the beast grew close. She learned that his gentleness was real. He brought her books from his vast library, flowers from his frozen garden, small kindnesses that no one had ever offered her. In return, she taught him to laugh. "Your stepsister sounds dreadful," he said one evening, as she told him about Arabella. "She is. And this prince, the one who ignored you? He was not mine to have." "You loved him." Ella was silent. "I did. I still do. Is that terrible, to come to you with another man in my heart?" "No." The beast's golden eyes were kind. "It is honest. And honesty is the foundation of true love. Does it not bother you?" "It hurts," he admitted. "But I would rather feel pain than be lied to. The curse taught me that." Ella reached up and touched his furred face. He went still, his eyes closing at her touch. "Will you kiss me?" she asked. "You are certain?" "Yes." He bent down, and their lips met. It was not a grand, magical kiss. The curse did not break. True love required more than a single moment. But when they parted, Ella was crying. "What is wrong?" he asked, alarmed. "Nothing. I have just never been kissed like that before. Like I mattered. You will be kissed like that every day for the rest of your life, if you will have me." She smiled through her tears. "I will." The wedding was announced, and somewhere in the capital, a prince in a guard's uniform heard the news, and felt his world end. The woman he loved was marrying a beast, and it was entirely his fault. Ella's journey to the Beast Prince's castle took 3 days. She passed through villages and forests, across rivers and over hills. With each mile, the Tremaine estate grew smaller behind her, and with it, the weight of her suffering. By the time she reached the castle gates, she felt almost light. The Beast Prince met her at the entrance. He was enormous, fur and fangs and claws, with eyes like molten gold. But his voice, when he spoke, was gentle. "You have traveled far," he said. "Yes." "You must be tired. Come inside. I will have a room prepared." "You do not want to see me first? To judge whether I am worthy?" The beast tilted his head. "I do not judge people, maid. I am a beast. Beasts do not judge. They only see what is in front of them." "And what do you see?" "I see a woman who has been hurt." His golden eyes were soft. "I see someone who needs rest. And I see someone who deserves better than what the world has given her." Ella felt tears prick her eyes. No one had ever seen her like that. Not her family. Not the prince who had ignored her. Not anyone. "Thank you," she whispered. "You are welcome." He led her inside, and for the first time in her life, Ella felt like she was somewhere she belonged. Over the following weeks, she learned the beast's story. His name was Alexander. He had been a prince once, young, arrogant, cruel. He had mocked a beggar woman who came to his castle for shelter, and she had cursed him. "You will wear the face of your soul until someone loves you for who you truly are." For years, no one had. His kingdom had grown cold. His people had grown afraid. He had retreated to his castle, alone and forgotten. "Until you came," he told her. "Me. You looked at me and did not flinch. You spoke to me like I was a man, not a monster." He bowed his head. "That is more than anyone has done in a decade." "I know what it is like to be looked at with fear," Ella said. "To be seen as less than human. I would not do that to you. You are too kind." "I am not kind. I am just tired of cruelty." The beast reached out and took her hand, carefully, gently, as if she were made of glass. "Then let me be the reason you stop being tired." And Ella, who had never had anyone to lean on, leaned into him. She had come to the Beast Prince expecting a monster. She had found the first person who had ever truly seen her. Kit did not sleep for 3 days. He stopped eating. He stopped speaking. He stood at the window of his quarters, staring at the road that led to the Beast Prince's castle, and felt the world crumbling around him. Finally, he did the only thing he could think of. He went to the royal library and searched for answers. He found them in an ancient tome, buried in a section of the library no one had touched in a century. A witch's bargain. The one who deceives another out of true love shall pay with true life. When the deceived heart gives itself to another, the deceiver's lifespan shall be forfeit. Unless the deceived heart forgives freely, and the sacrifice is made of love, not penance. He read the words again, and again. He had let Arabella's lie stand. He had deceived Ella out of the love that was rightfully hers. And now, the moment she gave her heart fully to the Beast Prince, the moment her marriage was sealed, his life would begin to end. He did not know how he knew. But he felt it, a cold certainty settling into his bones. He had 7 days. 7 days to undo the lie. 7 days to earn her forgiveness. 7 days to make amends. And then, nothing. He rode to the Beast Prince's castle that night. He did not know what he would say. He did not know if she would even see him. But he had to try. The Beast Prince himself met him at the gates, a towering figure of fur and shadow, golden eyes gleaming in the torchlight. "I know who you are," the beast said. "The prince who hid behind a mask. I have come to see Ella. She has been hurt enough by you. I know. And I have 7 days left to make it right." The beast studied him for a long moment. Something flickered in those golden eyes, understanding, perhaps, or pity. "She is in the garden. If she agrees to see you, I will not stop her." "Thank you." "Do not thank me. If you hurt her again, I will not forgive you. I would not ask you to." Ella was in the garden, pruning the winter roses. She did not look up when he approached. "I did not think you would come," she said. "I could not stay away. You have a wedding to prepare for. Arabella must be thrilled." "I am not marrying Arabella." Now she looked up. "What?" "The engagement is broken. I confessed the truth to my father. The alliance is over." Ella stared at him. "When?" "Yesterday. I told him everything, that Arabella lied, that I knew the truth, that I have loved you since the masquerade. But your kingdom can survive without the alliance. I cannot survive without you." He knelt in the snow before her. "Ella, I have 7 days. I do not know why or how, but I know my time is short, and I intend to spend every last moment trying to earn your forgiveness." 7 days? What do you mean? He told her. The witch's bargain. The price of his silence. The lifespan draining away. Ella's face went pale. "Kit, I do not ask you to come back to me. I do not ask you to break your engagement to the beast. He is a good man, better than I ever was. I only ask for your forgiveness, for the chance to make amends before I go. You would give your life for a lie you did not even tell? I would give my life for you." The snow fell around them, silent and cold. And Ella did not know what to say. That night Ella did not sleep. She sat by the window of her tower room, the glass slipper Kit had brought resting in her lap, and thought about everything he had told her. A witch's bargain. 7 days. His life draining away because of a lie that was never his. She wanted to be angry at him. She wanted to hate him for all the months of silence, all the pain he had caused. But the anger would not come. All she felt was sorrow. He had been trapped, bound by duty and honor to a lie that had grown too large to escape. He had not meant to hurt her. He had been trying to protect her, in his own foolish, arrogant, princely way. And now he was dying. The beast found her at dawn. "You have not slept." "I could not." He sat beside her, his massive form somehow comforting. "What are you thinking?" "I am thinking about forgiveness, what it means, what it costs." "Forgiveness costs nothing," the beast said. "It is the refusal to forgive that costs everything." Ella looked at him. "You would let him see me. Even though you love me, I would let you choose. That is what love is." She reached out and took his hand, his large, furred, clawed hand. "You are a better man than you believe yourself to be. I am not a man at all. You are the truest soul I have ever known." The beast bowed his head, and Ella saw a tear glisten in his golden eye. For the first time, she understood what the curse truly meant. It was not about his monstrous form. It was about believing himself unworthy of love. And she was determined to prove him wrong. That afternoon, she went to find Kit. He was in the guest wing, packing his few belongings. "You are leaving? My 7 days are almost up. I wanted to spend them here, with you. But I do not want to be a burden." "You are not a burden." "Ella!" "Stay." She stepped closer. "Please. I am not ready to say goodbye." Kit set down his bag. "Then I will stay." "Thank you." They stood there, the winter light filtering through the window, two people caught between the past and the future, between love and loss. And for one fragile moment, neither of them needed to say anything at all. The Beast Prince granted Kit 7 days. 7 days, he said, to do whatever you must. If Ella chooses to forgive you, so be it. If she chooses me, I will not stand in her way. Why would you allow this? Because I know what it is to lose someone, and because I will not be the reason she cannot make her peace. Kit bowed. You are a better man than I am. I am not a man at all. I am a beast. But I am learning what love truly means. The first day, Kit did not speak of love. He simply walked with Ella through the frozen garden, listening as she told him about her life. The mother who had taught her to find beauty in small things, the father who had died too young, the years of servitude under her stepmother's cruel hand. He listened. He did not interrupt. He did not make it about himself. When she finished, she looked at him with surprise. You did not say anything. What was there to say? You needed to be heard. I am sorry it took me so long to listen. The second day, he brought her a glass slipper. I found this at the ball, he said. I searched for you by it. But I looked for the wrong woman. She took the slipper, turning it over in her hands. Arabella stole it from me. She took it to the palace and claimed it was hers. I know. And I believed her. His voice was heavy. I should have known. The moment I saw you again, I should have known. It is mine. My mother's. The only beautiful thing I ever owned. It is yours. And I am sorry it took me so long to give it back. She held it to her chest. Thank you. The third day, he confessed his fears. I was afraid, he admitted. Afraid of my father's disappointment. Afraid of the scandal. Afraid that if I revealed the truth, everyone would think I was a fool. You were afraid of looking foolish? I was afraid of losing everything. My family. My position. My future. He looked at her. But I did not realize that I had already lost the only thing that mattered. They sat in silence for a while, the snow falling softly around them. I used to think that being a prince meant having everything, Kit said quietly. I had power. I had wealth. I had a kingdom that would one day be mine. And it was all worthless, because I did not know how to be honest. Honesty is difficult, Ella said. I know. I have been pretending to be happy for years. Why? Because the alternative was admitting that my life was painful. And if I admitted that, I would have had to fight for something better. She looked at him. I was too tired to fight. And now I am learning. She smiled, small and fragile. You are not the only one who is changing, Prince. The fourth day, he made her laugh. He told her about his disastrous attempt to learn to dance. His tutor had given up on him entirely, claiming he had 2 left feet. Ella laughed, a genuine, warm sound that lit up her face. There, he said, smiling. I have been waiting to see that again. What? Your laugh. I missed it. I have missed it every day since the masquerade. The 5th day, he wrote her a letter. Not a love letter. He did not presume to ask for that. A letter of truth, everything he should have said months ago. His fears, his failures, his regret. He handed it to her in silence and walked away, leaving her to read it alone. She read it in her tower room, by candlelight. In it, he told her about the night of the masquerade, how he had seen her enter, how the room had seemed to dim around her, how he had known in that instant that his life would never be the same. He described the dance, every detail, from the feel of her hand in his to the way her laugh had sounded. He told her about the confusion of the morning, when Arabella had presented the glass slipper and claimed to be the masked girl. He told her about the moment he had seen Ella at the Tremaine estate and felt his heart lurch, because he knew, in some deep part of him, that she was the one he had danced with, even before he could prove it. He told her about the months of silence, the cowardice, the fear. And he told her that he was sorry. Not because he hoped to win her back. He knew he did not deserve that, but because she deserved to know the truth. Ella finished the letter with tears streaming down her face. He had not asked for anything. He had only given her the truth. And somehow that made his love mean more than any grand gesture ever could. The 6th day, she found him in the garden at midnight. "I read your letter," she said. And I forgive you, Kit." His heart stopped. "You do? I understand now. You were trapped, same as me. You made a mistake. But you have spent every day since trying to undo it." She stepped closer. "I forgive you." Kit felt tears burn his eyes. "Thank you. Thank you, Ella." "One more day," she said softly. "You have one more day." "Yes. And then I will be gone." She reached up and touched his face. "Then let us make it count." The 7th day, they spent together from dawn until the stars came out. They walked. They talked. They laughed. They cried. They said everything that needed to be said. In the afternoon, Kit knelt in the snow and built a small snowman for her, using twigs for arms and berries for eyes. Ella laughed until her sides hurt, then helped him finish it, adding a crooked smile made of pine needles. "What should we call him?" she asked. "He needs a name worthy of a prince." Kit studied the snowman. "I shall call him Fizzy." "Fizzy. Because he is the happiest creature I have ever created, and that is the most important thing any being can be." Ella smiled. "I will remember Fizzy forever." "Good." He looked at her. "I want you to remember all of it, Ella. Not the pain. The joy." And as the sun set on the 7th day, Kit stood in the garden, waiting. He could feel his life draining away, like water through his fingers. But he did not regret a single moment. He had been forgiven. That was enough. But the 7th day was not the end. When the sun rose on the 8th morning, Kit woke up. He was alive. He lay in his bed at the Beast Prince's castle, staring at the ceiling, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady in his chest. He had been certain he would not wake. The witch's curse had promised 7 days, and those days had passed. And yet, here he was. He found the Beast Prince in the great hall. "I am still here," Kit said. "I know. The curse. It should have taken me. The curse was broken." "How?" The beast's golden eyes were unreadable. "There is more to the witch's bargain than the words I gave you." The full text reads, "The deceiver's lifespan shall be forfeit, unless the deceived heart forgives freely, and the sacrifice is made of love, not penance." Kit stared at him. "She forgave me. Freely. Willingly. Without condition. And my sacrifice was made of love. You gave up your life not to undo your shame, but to give her peace." The beast inclined his head. "The curse was never about punishing the deceiver. It was about testing whether the deceiver could learn to love truly." Kit sank into a chair, his legs giving way. He was alive. The woman he loved had forgiven him, and he had been given a second chance. But the beast was not finished. "There is one more thing you must know," he said. "The witch's bargain is broken, but it left a trace. Your lifespan is restored, but it is bound to Ella's. If she chooses me, and I break my curse through her love, the bond will fade, and you will live a normal life. And if she does not choose me? Then you will love her from afar, and live with the knowledge of what might have been." Kit nodded slowly. "And what does Ella want?" "That is not for me to say." The beast's golden eyes gleamed. "Ask her yourself." Kit found Ella in the garden, among the winter roses. Ella. She turned. Her eyes widened when she saw him. Kit? You are alive. The curse was broken. Your forgiveness saved me. She rushed to him, throwing her arms around his neck. I thought I had lost you. I thought. You did not lose me. You saved me. They held each other, the winter wind cold around them but their hearts warm. There is something I must ask you, Kit said, pulling back. And I need you to answer honestly. What is it? Will you marry the Beast Prince? Ella was quiet for a long moment. I do not know, she admitted. He is kind. He sees me. He has given me a home and a purpose. But you. She trailed off. I do not ask you to choose me, Kit said. I only ask you to choose what is true for your heart. And what about yours? Kit touched her face. My heart has been yours since the masquerade. That will never change. Ella closed her eyes. And in that moment she knew what she had to do. That night Ella sat alone in her room, thinking. She loved two men. It was not something she had ever imagined possible. She had spent her whole life being invisible, being overlooked, being told she was not enough for anyone. And now, suddenly, she had two hearts offering her everything. It was overwhelming. It was terrifying. And she was afraid of choosing wrong. She thought about Kit, the prince who had loved her from the moment he saw her, who had searched for her, who had lied to protect her, who had been willing to die for her. Their love was a dream, fragile and beautiful, born of one magical night. She thought about Alexander, the beast who had seen her when she was nothing, who had welcomed her into his home, who had taught her that she deserved kindness. Their love was real, built day by day, forged in quiet moments and gentle words. One was a fairy tale, the other was a life, and Ella, who had never been given a choice about anything, finally understood what she had to do. She went to the beast's chambers that evening. He was standing by the window, looking out at the frozen kingdom. He did not turn when she entered. I saw you in the garden, he said quietly. With him. Yes. You have made your choice. I have not made any choice yet. She walked to him, standing at his side. I came to ask you something. What? If I choose him, if I break our engagement, what will happen to you? The beast was silent for a long moment. The curse will remain. I will continue to be what I am. Forever. Forever. Ella felt the weight of those words. And if I choose you, she said slowly, what will happen to him? He will live. The bond between you will fade, and he will live a long, full life. In both futures, someone is hurt. That is the nature of love. The beast turned to face her, his golden eyes gentle. It is not about avoiding pain. It is about choosing which pain you can live with. Ella reached up and touched his face. I love you, she said. I love him too. Is that possible? Yes. Hearts are not limited to a single love. Then how do I choose? You do not choose with your head. You choose with your heart. He took her hand. And your heart already knows the answer. Ella closed her eyes. And she let her heart speak. The wedding day dawned clear and bright. The great hall of the Beast Prince's castle was transformed, garlands of winter flowers, hundreds of candles, and a carpet of white silk leading to the altar. The entire kingdom had gathered to witness the union. The beast stood at the altar, his massive form somehow both terrifying and gentle, his golden eyes fixed on the door. Ella walked down the aisle in a gown of silver and white, her mother's glass slippers on her feet. Beside the beast stood Kit as his witness. It had been Kit's choice. When the beast had asked who he would have stand with him, Kit had offered himself, not out of bitterness but out of love. If I cannot have her, he had said, I will at least see her happy. The ceremony began. Ella of Tremaine, the priest intoned. Do you take this prince, this creature of the curse, to be your husband? Ella looked at the beast. His golden eyes held hers, full of hope and fear. Then she looked at Kit. He was smiling, a small, broken smile that said everything. I do, Ella said. The beast's breath caught. He bowed his massive head as the priest bound their hands with silk. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The beast kissed Ella's forehead, a gesture so tender it brought tears to the crowd's eyes. And then it happened. Light, blinding, golden light, pouring from the beast's form. The crowd gasped. The castle shook. When the light faded, standing in place of the beast was a man, tall and handsome, with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile. The curse had been broken. True love had triumphed. The beast prince was human again. The crowd erupted in cheers. Ella turned to Kit, her face shining with joy. "He is human," she breathed. "The curse is broken." "I know." Kit's voice was steady, warm. "You did it, Ella. You saved him. And you saved me." They embraced, a warm, friendly, final embrace. "I am so happy for you," Kit said, and he meant it. "Thank you, Kit. For everything." "There is one thing I want you to know," he said quietly. "I was ready to die for you. But I am glad I did not have to. Because now I can see you happy, and that is worth more than any life I could have lived." Ella blinked back tears. "What will you do now?" "I will go home. I will tell my father the truth, all of it. And then I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the forgiveness you gave me." "You already are worthy." "No," he said softly. "But I am going to try." Alexander approached, placing a hand on Kit's shoulder. "Thank you, Prince, for returning her to me. For being honest at last. Thank you, Alexander, for being the man she deserved when I could not." The two men clasped hands, not as rivals but as friends. And then the wedding continued. At the feast, Kit sat at the head table, watching the newlyweds. The beast, now a man named Alexander, was radiant, holding Ella's hand as if he could not believe his fortune. Alexander raised his glass. "To my bride, the woman who saw a monster and found a man. I love you more than I ever thought I could love anything." "And I love you," Ella replied, "not because you became handsome, but because you were always beautiful. I simply had to learn to see it." The hall cheered. Kit raised his glass in a silent toast. He had lost the woman he loved, but he had found something more valuable, peace. He thought about the man he had been when he arrived, proud, afraid, dishonest. He thought about the man he was now, humbled, honest, at peace. The fairy tale had never been about winning the princess. It had been about learning to become the kind of man who deserved to be loved. And for the first time in his life, Kit felt like he was finally that man. He stayed until the last guest had gone home. He danced with the maids and the cooks. He told the children stories of brave princes and kind beasts. He laughed, genuinely laughed, for the first time in months. And as the celebration continued around him, Kit slipped away into the night, carrying with him the memory of a dance, a glass slipper, and a love that had taught him how to be a better man. He did not look back. He did not need to. The woman he loved was happy. And that was enough. That night, Ella found the glass slipper on her windowsill. Beneath it was a note. "Keep this, not as a token of what we lost, but as a reminder that even the most broken stories can have a happy ending. Live well, my Cinderella." "Kit." Ella held the slipper to her chest, tears streaming down her face. She had made the right choice. But that did not mean she would ever forget the prince who had loved her. She would keep the slipper forever. And she would always, always remember. The next morning, Ella woke in her chambers to find Alexander watching her from the doorway. "You were awake late last night," he said. "I was thinking. About him." Ella nodded. "About him. About us. About everything." Alexander walked to her and sat on the edge of the bed. "I will not be jealous of him, Ella. He gave you back to me. He gave you the truth. And he loved you enough to let you go. That is what I love about you," Ella said. "You understand. Most men would not. Most men have not spent years as a beast." He smiled, his handsome face warm. "When you have been hated for your face, you learn to value the heart. And his heart is good. Ours is better. No. Ours is simply home. He took her hand. And you are my home, Ella. Whatever you feel for him, I will never ask you to bury it. I would rather you love him from afar and be happy here, than pretend he never existed and be miserable. Ella's eyes filled with tears. I do not deserve you. You deserve everything. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to give it to you. She leaned into him, and for the first time, she understood that she had chosen not only a husband, but a home. Place where she would always belong. The prince had let her go. The beast had caught her. And Cinderella, at last, had found her ever after. Years passed. Kit ruled his kingdom with wisdom and compassion. The scandal of the broken engagement faded from memory, replaced by his reputation as the people's prince, kind, just, beloved. He built schools and hospitals. He opened the palace gardens to the people. He ruled not from a throne but from among his citizens, listening to their needs, solving their problems. But he never married. He received offers from a dozen kingdoms, beautiful princesses, powerful duchesses, eligible heiresses. He declined them all. My heart belongs elsewhere, he would say. And when they pressed, he would smile and change the subject. He thought about Ella every day. He thought about her laugh, her courage, her forgiveness. He thought about the way she had looked at him in the garden, the way she had said, I forgive you, as if it cost her nothing. He wrote her letters, but he never sent them. They piled up in a drawer, a testament to everything he could not say. He heard news of her, of course. The Beast Prince, now Prince Alexander, no longer a beast, had become a beloved ruler. Ella was his queen, adored by her people. They had a son, a healthy boy with his father's eyes and his mother's smile. Kit was happy for her. He truly was. One winter night, a messenger arrived at the palace. Your Highness, a letter from the kingdom of the Beast Prince. Kit's heart stopped. He took the letter with trembling hands and broke the seal. Inside, in Ella's handwriting, Kit, I have been thinking of you. I know it has been years. I know I made my choice, and I do not regret it. Alexander is my husband, and I love him with all my heart. But I wanted you to know that I have never forgotten what you did for me. You gave up everything, your pride, your kingdom, your very life, to make amends. And you did it without asking for anything in return. I want you to know that I am happy. And I want you to know that I forgive you, not because you needed it, but because you deserve it. Live well, Kit. Love well. And do not spend the rest of your life wondering about what might have been. You deserve happiness too. Ella. Kit read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and placed it with the others. She was still his Cinderella. He was still her prince. But they were both happy now. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Years later, Kit met someone. She was an ambassador from the northern kingdom, clever, sharp-tongued, and utterly unimpressed by his title. She made him laugh. She challenged him. She looked at him not like he was a prince, but like he was just a man. Her name was Mara. She had come to negotiate a trade agreement, and she had no patience for ceremony. She told Kit his throne room was drafty, his courtiers were sycophants, and his chef's famous soup was overcooked. Kit, who had spent years being surrounded by people who only ever agreed with him, was utterly enchanted. You do not like anything about my palace, he observed. That is not true. She fixed him with a sharp look. I like you. You are ridiculous, but you are honest. That is rare. It took him years to open his heart again. But he did. He asked her to stay. She said she would not abandon her work. He said he would wait. She called him foolish. He called her stubborn. They argued for 3 years and danced for the rest of their lives. And when he finally married, he invited the queen of the neighboring kingdom. Ella came. She was older now, regal and serene, with a small smile that held no regret. She danced with the new queen, welcomed her warmly, and congratulated Kit with genuine joy. You look happy, she said. I am. He paused. Truly. Good. You deserve it. So do you. He looked at her. Alexander. He is at home with our son. He sends his regards. Tell him thank you. For everything. I will. They stood together, watching the festivities, two people who had once been almost. I am glad we found peace, Kit said. Me too. They were silent for a moment. May I ask you something? Ella said. Anything. Do you ever wonder? About what would have happened if you had told me the truth that night at the stable? Kit thought about it. He had wondered many times. He had imagined the paths not taken, the marriage, the children, the kingdom they might have built together. Yes, he admitted. I have wondered. And I have realized something. He turned to look at her. I would not trade my life now for that life. Not because I do not love you, I always will. But because everything that happened led me here. And here I am happy. Ella smiled, her eyes bright. That is what I needed to hear. What do you mean? I have been carrying a small guilt all these years, she said. A tiny part of me worried that I broke you. That you never recovered. She reached out and squeezed his hand. But you did. You became the man I always knew you could be. You just needed to become him for someone else. I needed to become him for myself, Kit said. And you helped me get there. So did you. They embraced one last time, two old friends, bound by a love that had transformed into something even rarer. And for the first time in years, Kit felt truly whole. That night, Kit stood on his balcony, looking at the stars. The glass slipper was gone now. He had returned it to Ella years ago, when he had finally accepted that she belonged to another. In its place, on his desk, sat a portrait of his wife, and a drawing their young daughter had made. He heard footsteps behind him, and Mara wrapped her arms around him. Did you find what you were looking for? She asked. I found everything I needed, he said. Peace. That is the rarest treasure in any kingdom. He turned and kissed her forehead. I love you. I know. She smiled. I love you too, ridiculous prince. He held her, looking out at the stars, and felt something settle in his chest. He had been granted a second chance. He had wasted some of it on regret, but he had found his way back. The prince had been forgiven. The Cinderella had found her beast. And they had both lived happily ever after. Not together, but truly, completely, and beautifully happy. Because sometimes the greatest love story is not the one that ends in union. Sometimes it is the one that ends in peace. The end.